All right, I'm in downtown Fort Myers, Florida, just for a few days on a quick little business trip, and I had some time to kill, and I thought, there's a video game store nearby. I need to go check it out. So let's drive over across the bridge here and check out Game Craze and see how it is before they close for the day, and see if I can get any good deals while I'm down here on this trip. In here, I think it's in this little strip mall here. Oh, here we go. So right away when you walk in the door, I was overwhelmed by the amount of games that this store had to offer. And you'll notice like all of these games were on their spine. And and I have to say, like, there was a lot of PSP games. So when I went in here, I was really on the hunt for PSP games, and yes, I've been also on the hunt for PS1 games. Well, we're moving in a few weeks, so I really didn't want to commit to a lot. I thought, well, if a few games really jumped out at me, I might pick them up, and I was like, okay, I'm traveling right now. I don't need extra space in the suitcase. Man, Sega Saturn games, everything. So that's trouble. I walk right in. Massive amount of PSP games, which has been a bit of my obsession lately, trying to dive into the PSP for the first time. So I'm gonna see if they also have any Game Boy Advance stuff in here too, which could be a problem. Here you have the Super Pocket. They had a bunch of Evercade games as well. Look at all these Virtual Boy, factory sealed Virtual Boy games, factory sealed PlayStation 1 games. I mean, you have Lunar 2 complete. You have the original Lunar complete. I mean, these things are in great condition. Mega Man Legends, Tumba. So many games. I began to get a little overwhelmed. I'm not going to lie to you, because I was looking through all of these thinking, oh my gosh, so many great games here. And then all of these Wii games. Oh my gosh. We always talk about the Wii games just with so much shovelware. God bless the person who actually spends their time trying to get a full Wii collection. Can you imagine that? How about a Pac-Man waffle maker? Plenty of little figurines, little Neo Geo. Now, the NES Max, did you guys have that? I had that controller growing up, the NES Max, and man, that thing used to cut into my finger, and I don't think it really ever worked. I like the idea of it, but I don't think it ever worked. And then the PS3 collection. Like I said, every one of these games had their spine facing out, so they weren't trying to fill up shelves with like front-facing games. This place was packed to the brim with games. Multiple great-looking copies of all sorts of games. And we come over to the Game Boy Advance section, and this place was actually really, really busy. So a lot of loose carts, and I really try to avoid buying loose game cartridges. If I'm going to buy something, I want complete in box. That's just kind of how I am. But I got to tell you, look at this Nintendo Switch wall. This thing was incredible. And I'm telling you, I saw games on here that I've never seen before. I had to keep asking the guy to take some off the shelf because I'd never even heard of some of these Switch games. I mean, just look at the collection here. You don't just have your run-of-the-mill like Nintendo choices here, like Metroid Dread or, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. I mean, you've got like Romancing Saga. You've got, you name it, they had it. Look at this, by the way. They had the Super Mario Kart, the complete all DLC edition on the cartridge. Yeah, I was really impressed with their Nintendo Switch collection. And then, of course, Game Boy Advance. This has been a weakness of mine recently, and I have to say I really held back. There was quite a few games there, but I said I'm just going to hold off on this. I don't need to be spending, $50, $60, $70 on a complete inbox. I was looking at that Game Boy Color version of Top Gun, because I played the Game Boy Advance Top Gun Firestorm, and I beat that a few months ago. Then, of course, you got your Sega Genesis, plus all the Sega Genesis loose cartridges as well. So many great choices here, in addition to all of the GameCube games. Once I get set up in my new games room and I set up my GameCube, I'm going to go on a bit of a GameCube adventure. I almost picked up a copy here of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Now, this is a weird one for me because I bought this off of eBay and it was lost in the mail. Never got a chance to get it. Okay, fresh out. I at first I was a little overwhelmed. There were so many people in here. This is like the
the most crowded I've seen a retro game store in a long time. I mean, it was hard to even walk around. There were so many people in here. Just to look at Game Boy Advance stuff, PSP stuff. And in the end, I felt just a little overwhelmed. I said, you know what, I'm just not going to buy any PSP stuff today. I'm going to hold off on that. And I'm going to hold off on any more Game Boy Advance stuff. I've got a few that I've got to get through. So it was restraint. But I did though get a stack of some PS3 and PS2 games. So let's go back and I'll show you what I picked up.
All right, we're back here in the studio, and I picked up quite a few PS3 and PS2 games. I mean, quite a few. I'm like a handful, a nice little bag that would fit in my suitcase. And first, I have to admit, while I was there actually on this trip, my son was completing in the state meet for swimming. He's a swimmer. He's 14 years old. And he came in first place while I was standing in the game store. He came in first place in his 50 freestyle. And I said, you know what, while I'm here, let me get him a gift. And recently, he's been going down a bit of a PS3 rabbit hole, playing some of the Uncharted games, playing some classics like Pirates of the Caribbean on the PS3. So I said, you know what, I'm teaching him about the PS3. Let's pick up some classics. And so I picked up for him, first one out of the gate here is BioShock. And yeah, I just got the greatest hits edition. They didn't have the other ones, but full manual and complete edition here. So he's excited to play BioShock. I've never played BioShock, and we're going to play it together. I'm excited about that. So I thought he's really been into these, first-person action Uncharted style, and I frankly don't know if that's what this is like at all. So we'll see. I've heard just amazing things about BioShock, so I had to pick it up. Again, the PS3 for me was a huge black hole in my gaming history, as I've talked about here. So there's a lot of games from that era that I just never got a chance to play until recently. So yeah, we're going to play some BioShock together. The other game that I picked up for him is because he's a huge Star Wars fan, and he's asked me about this game for a number of years. And I thought, oh, this is a great condition copy of Star Wars Force Unleashed. Now, I know he'll like this game. He's really been a fan of the Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games. He loves Star Wars in general. Anything that you can use a lightsaber and kind of use Force Unleashed pressure to like knock enemies over, he's going to enjoy it. I played it on the Nintendo Wii back in the day, and I really enjoyed it using the Wii motion controls and all of that. So I think he's going to really appreciate this on the PS3, and hopefully he'll love it. But he said thank you. He was thrilled about these games, so I just grabbed these out of his room to show you what I got for him. So he's excited about those. All right, let's talk about some more PS3 games, and then we'll get to PS2 here at the end. I'm excited about what I got. So recently, I don't know if you saw, there was a pretty good video from Dunkey just recently where he was talking about fake gamers, and I loved it because he really hit the nail on the head. Like all these people that are just playing like live service games, and that's all they're doing. It's just like live service games. They're missing all of these like classic games. Like, what if we just shut off live service games for like a year? And wouldn't that be amazing? People might dive back into some classic games. And he started rattling off a bunch of like Tom Clancy games that I never played. He was talking about those on this video, and I saw, you know what? Recently I saw the Tom Clancy collection kind of went on sale on Steam. And I said, no, I want some physical games. I want the original. So I picked up Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas on here. And I want some good like 8, 9 hour, 10 hour missions, first person style, stealth action, blowing stuff up, rescuing people. And the way I look at it too is I know my son will like it eventually too. Like I'll play it, he'll play it. So yeah, Rainbow Six Vegas, Tom Clancy's. And then I had to pick up because it was sitting right there, and it was $5.99. I mean, look at the price on this. Just $5. Yeah, can you see that? I don't know. $5.99. $5.99. Super cheap. So I picked up Rainbow Six Vegas 2. If I got one, I might as well get two. And maybe I'll go for like sort of a complete Tom Clancy collection and kind of go through that whole series. So yeah, picked up 2 of those on the PS3 because why not? What the heck? And I picked up, let's start some PlayStation stuff. So another Tom Clancy book, another Tom Clancy game, Ghost Recon. Now, I've heard great things about this game. Again, a lot of these Tom Clancy games have really high reviews. So I don't know which ones are best. Maybe you guys could let me know in the comments below. In the Tom Clancy games, I know there's like 15 of them or something. Let me know which ones you like the most. But this is a squad-based battlefield combat. You're in Eastern Europe in 2008, command the Ghosts, an elite handful of specially trained Green Berets armed with the latest technology, the deadliest weapons, in a mission to keep the lid on a new war before it mushrooms. Literally. It was voted PC Game of the Year by PC Gamer Magazine back in 2001, and it was $3.99. So maybe the game sucks. I don't know. But I'm building up my little PS2 collection again. One of my favorite systems of all time. And by the way, that was like the last system I owned before I went into my sort of gaming black hole and never played the PS3 and all that. Recently, I've been playing. I fell in love with the God of War series and have been playing on the PSP recently, God of War, and now had a chance to pick up the PlayStation 2 version of God of War, the original, the OG God of War here on the PS2. So I'm going to dive into this for the first time and really kind of see where the series started. I never played it when it came out on the PS2, going back to the early days of Kratos with a different style of combat from what I understand of playing the 2018 version. And I haven't played God of War Ragnarok yet, but I'm excited to see where the series started. So I had to pick up God of War on the PlayStation 2. And then, of course, sitting right next to it, because I'm a sucker, is the 2-disc set of God of War 2 for the PS2. So I had to pick that up as well. And these are relatively inexpensive. This was $16, and the God of War, the first one, was $14. So had to get those, and I'm excited to be able to jump in and play some God of War games. But I will say, I was overwhelmed by the PSP selection. So, and I don't know enough about that system yet, as I'm just in the process of starting to play the PSP. So I held off. I said, okay, I'm not going to dive in. Let me just wait on the PSP games. Let's hold off on that. And let me just take a little step back from buying some ridiculously expensive, like Game Boy Advance complete in-box games. So I stepped back. I was good. That it didn't take up too much room in my suitcase. But yeah, overall, let's see, what did I get here? 1, 2... Yeah, I got seven games, 7 good games here. So I'm excited to give these a shot. And again, like I said, I'm excited to set up my new games room. I'm going to set up my modded PS2. I'll have it all hooked up to my HDMI switcher and be able to play that right next to my PS3. I'm just really excited about it. So in the next few weeks, that's when I'm going to start. By the way, I'm going to film a whole video like setting up the games room. Many of you have said, hey, document that, film that. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to set things up with the HDMI switcher and all the different consoles, the originals, OG consoles, new consoles, all of that kind of in one section there. I got to figure out my shelving and all of that in the house as well. So very exciting. Very excited for that as the spring unfolds. So there was my little trip to Florida. It was a real quick turnaround trip down to Fort Myers, Florida. And I have to say, I was really impressed with this store. Really, if you get a chance to go down to Fort Myers, stop by Game Craze. It is packed to the gills. And I will say, I was stunned also by the amount of people that were in there. It was packed. I was there on a Sunday evening, almost near dinner time, and it was packed. People were just coming in left and right to buy games. So I was really encouraged from like the retro scene. I was really encouraged about that. Anyway, have you guys picked up anything recently? And also let me know about the Tom Clancy games down below. Which ones should I be seeking out and playing first in the series? And thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time.